So the big race is tomorrow, the 150th run of the Kentucky Derby. Normally, when I handicap these races, I post them the day of the race and about a couple hours before. But since tomorrow is going to be a big day, I want to post this, record this video, and post it and give you my insights on this year's Kentucky Derby. I'll be heading to the Golden Gate Fields at the Turf Club, and as this is the last year of Golden Gate Fields, I want to enjoy this. So I want to do the best I can, but also have fun and hopefully win. Um, this year's Derby race is a lot stronger than last year. So, and if there's two major prep races, I think that could be play into this. One is the Risen Star Stakes that was run at the fairgrounds, and the other race is the Jeff Ruby Stakes that was run at Turf Field. The Risen Star Stakes appears to be the strongest Derby prep races because um, the horses that actually ran there and how they improved after their next start. The winner, Sierra Leone, he won on a muddy track and came far back from a slow pace. He showed his versatility because we know that he could run on a sloppy racetrack and win. Um, and Sierra Leone's form, if you notice that he's Byers' speed figures has increased. So the fact that he could run on a sloppy and fast track shows his versatility, and there's a reason why he's one of the favorites. The other horse who ran the Risen Star Stakes was the number 4 horse, Catching Freedom. He ran third in that race in the Risen Star, but the next race, the Louisiana Derby, on the same track, finished first. So the fact that he could run well on the sloppy and fast track also shows another possible play. The other horse is Honor Marie. So Honor Marie in the beginning of the year was my early Kentucky Derby choice. Hence, because in its last race of the year at the Kentucky Jockey Club, he won that race, and his record, if you notice, in 3 starts, he has 2 wins and a second. So that's why I thought he would be my early Kentucky Derby choice. During the Risen Star, when he came in far back to finish fifth, I was thinking, okay, this horse is out of my possibility, but he ran second in the Louisiana Derby, so he has shown some improvement. So the concern is, even though he's done well at Churchill, could be the weather. In both sloppy racetracks, this horse hasn't won. So that's a concern. If it does rain, or it becomes muddy, but this horse is actually going to be in my play for the exotics for the Derby. The other horse in the field is the favorite, Fierceness, um, the champion 2-year-old colt, and also the Breeders' Cup winner. So he's the only horse that has had 100 over 100 in buyer speed figures. So in terms of talent, this is the most talented horse in the field because at any moment he could just run the lights out. If you look at the Breeders' Cup Juvenile and the Florida Derby, but if you notice, he's very inconsistent. There's a tendency he'll win and then he won't win. In fact, in his other race, he'll win and then he'll be off the board. So he's very puzzling, and this is a horse who's a front runner. And in the 17 hole, this could be a concern. So out of the horses, this is one I'm going to leave off, even though he's the most talented. But when the trip is not clean, he just doesn't run well. I mean, that's why there's that inconsistency in his form. He'll win, and then he'll just run really bad. So in a 20-horse field, and with his tendency, I will leave him off any of my exotics. And I mentioned the other Kentucky Derby prep race the, that has great form is actually the Jeff Ruby Stakes race. The last 2 years, horses who came out of this race have ran well. Um, Rich Strike comes to mind. Even though he didn't win the Jeff Ruby Stakes, he won as a major long shot in the Kentucky Derby. And last year, Two Phils, who won the Jeff Ruby Stakes, finished second. And the horse, number 14 horse, is actually going to be my win bet. And I did see this horse at Golden Gate Field in the El Camino Real Derby. So if there's any biases, it's justifiably so, because I saw this horse run, and this is the last year of Golden Gate Field. So to hopefully represent the Bay Area and the Golden Gate Fields, I hope this horse wins. But on a handicap point, is the last two races this horse has won, and he's one of three horses that won their last two races for the Kentucky Derby preps. Endlessly, Sierra Leone, and Stronghold, who's the Santa Anita Derby winner. Normally, for a horse who wins the Santa Anita, I would put him in my ticket or exotics. But if you notice that his buyer speed figures, it appears that he goes like 80 in terms of buyer speed figures. So he hasn't even cracked 90 yet. So I'm leaving him off my board. I know Endlessly his highest buyer speed figure is 91 only. But this horse has run 5 out of 6. He's won 5 out of 6. His only loss was actually at a turf race, because this trainer was thinking about not running this horse in the Kentucky Derby, but the American Turf. So, and the trainer is actually the trainer of Rumbauer, who won the El Camino Real Derby in 2021, I believe. Yeah, in 2021, and then won the Preakness. So, with the same connections and with the race, I'm picking Endlessly to win. I'm putting him across the board. And his odds right now is 30-1, but when I went to San Mateo to handicap, they showed his future odds as 47. I will admit, I don't know if this horse, will finish the top 3, but this is like the last dance. I just want to hope he does well, and I'm picking him to win. If I can get him at 47-1 odds, I'll take it. And so actually this year's the 25th anniversary of Charismatic. Charismatic ran second the El Camino Real Derby, and then won the Kentucky Derby and Preakness Stakes in 1999. So he's the only runner in the El Camino who actually won the Kentucky Derby. So I'm hoping that Endlessly wins that race, so he could join Charismatic. And I think there's some parallels to this. Endlessly is not thought of as like with Charismatic did. So if I think that of all he's probably more talented at the moment than the other two horses that won the Jeff Rubies prior to the Kentucky Derby. Maybe Two Phils might be more talented, but his form is really good. So the only bad race he ran was actually a turf race, the Breeders' Cup Turf. So I know that the trainer wanted him to run in a turf, but the owners wanted him to run on dirt. Normally we could say, oh, it's a selfish thing, but yeah, it's like if the horse is 5 out of 6 overall, I think this is a shot to give him a try. So yeah, this is going to be my horse. I'm going to play win, place, and show across the board. So that's my pick for the Kentucky Derby. I do plan to play some of the exotics in the Kentucky Derby. So what I plan to do is do an exacta box with Endlessly and Sierra Leone. And I mentioned about Catching Freedom and Honor Marie because both of them ran in the Risen Star Stakes and the Louisiana Derby. If you compare the form of Catching Freedom and Honor Marie, Catching Freedom's form is much better. The Risen Star Stakes, he finished third, and in the Louisiana Derby, he finished first. Whereas Honor Marie ran fifth in the Risen Star Stakes, and they ran second in the Louisiana Derby. So the form of Catching Freedom is better. It's actually improved. But there's one thing I'm thinking about leaning on a Marie in terms of finishing ahead of Catch of Freedom. It's because of Churchill Downs. So I think Infinity of the Racetrack is a huge play because I think no, horse knowing the atmosphere of the track and also the dirt. I think the comfortability and a big field could be a big part of it. So I I have Honor Marie finishing ahead of Catching Freedom in if I plan to play, let's say, a superfecta or a trifecta. Um, so in my exacta box, I plan to play Sierra Leone and Endlessly, and then if I do a trifecta box, I might include Honor Marie there. Um, if I do the superfecta, then I'll probably do Endlessly, Sierra Leone, Honor Marie, and Catching Freedom in the superfecta box. But I'm still thinking about that. But that's what my thought is. There's a wild card in the Kentucky Derby, and that wild card is the number one horse, Denoche. If you look at the pedigree, Denoche is a full brother of last year's winner, Mage. So I remember last year when Mage won, I was thinking, there's no way a horse like this would win. Because it raced twice against Forte, who was the early morning favorite, but was later scratched. But it was just shocker that Mage won last year, and now his full brother is running in this year's Derby, and he actually had a better year as a 2-year-old than he has as a 3-year-old, even though he won his first race as a 3-year-old and actually beat, I believe, yeah, he did. He actually last year he beat Sierra Leone. He actually gave Sierra Leone its only loss. However, his form this year hasn't been that great, even though he won his first race, and then the Bluegrass he didn't run well at all. The concern also with Donorsh is that he's a front runner. So unlike Mage, who came kind of far way back, um, Donorsh, all of his wins, if you look at it right here, they were like close to the lead or right near the lead. So he's a established front runner. The fact that he's in the one hole probably gives him an advantage for him to help to set the pace. Um, so he is my wild card. And in fact, I told you mention about the 25th year anniversary of Charismatic. My first Derby bet was that year, and I went to Bay Meadows. And I was so elated to pick Charismatic because he did run El Camino Real Derby. And I missed the opportunity of seeing him run in that race. But I had an exacta. I remember, I had a trifecta box. I remember it pretty exactly. It was Charismatic, uh, Worldly Manor, and then Cat Thief. I got the first and third horse, but not the second horse. And then looking at back the form, the second horse, the horse that finished second was Menifee. Menifee is a half brother to Desert Wine, who finished second in the Derby of 1983 and the Preakness Stakes of 1983. Hence, Menifee would actually repeat that same feat as his half brother because in 1999 he would finish second in the Kentucky Derby and second in the Preakness. So I am going to play Donosh. I'm like, the pedigree is right there. So I know that his brother won last year, so I'm going to put him in an exacta box with him and Endlessly to hopefully get a big exacta. So that's my thought. If I want to kind of play big, in terms of thinking big and betting, and then if I want to really think big, I'd put in a trifecta box, Dornors Endlessly, and then Honor Marie, who's ran well at the race, who runs well on Churchill Downs. So, and if it's superfecta, I would probably think about putting box. I would put Dornors Endlessly, Sierra Leone, and yeah, and Honor Marie. But yeah, those are the ones that's what my plan is. and so hopefully, so that's if I want to play big, that's what I plan to do. At least the exacta box with Dornosh and endlessly. So if it doesn't win, it doesn't win. But I won't plan to play bet too much. But that's my thoughts. I'm hoping endlessly wins for one last hurrah for Golden Gate Fields. But yeah, if endlessly does win for the Kentucky Derby, I mean the trainers, it could be put in a dilemma because is he going to run the Preakness? Yeah, he wants his horse to run on turf. But if he wins the Derby, and then with his track record with Rombauer, I think he's obliged to run him the Preakness. But yeah, I'm hoping that Endlessly wins. I know that, like I said, I'm from the Bay Area, and it's a bias, but this is the last year of Golden Gate Fields, and I hope he runs well. And so I hope he replicates of Charismatic's win, because Charismatic was my first Kentucky Derby bet, and it was fitting that it was so elating that when he won. So remembering my first Kentucky bet ever, and then that horse wins. I'm hoping Endlessly does the same too. So yeah, I hope everybody has fun at the Derby, wherever you're at Churchill Downs or watch party at certain tracks. And good luck to everybody. And as the saying goes, I'll bet small to win big, and enjoy a mint julep while you watch the races.